There it goes. There it goes.
Yay. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Miko, and today I want to talk about how your game's audience is not everyone. So, who am I to make such a bold claim? Well, I've been making VNs for about 5 years. My first commercial release was in 2018, that which binds us. Currently, my studio is Crystal Gameworks, and I'm working on Asterism, an RPG VN, which you can see the artwork here, and Drops of Death, which is a murder mystery VN. I also do freelance marketing at Studio Elan, a Yuri visual novel studio, and Virtuality Project, an English VTuber agency. So my talk's gonna be a bit different because I'm going to assign you guys homework. I hope you're ready because the first one's right here. Now I want you to tell me in chat, who do you think will play your visual novel when it's done? Or if it's already done, tell me who you think has played it. If you're on YouTube, just type it in the comments. Yeah, so tell me. I see a lot of people saying everyone, the lesbians, queer sci-fi nerds. Otome, my cat, very nice. Yeah, like that. Well, I've got news for you. Your target audience is not everyone, and that's okay. I used to work at the entrepreneurship program at my college, and people would tell potential investors that their target audience is everyone. No, it's not. But why is it not? Let's define what a target audience is. So, according to my marketing textbook, if the slide will load, there we go. Principles of Marketing. A target audience is the group of people for which an organization designs, implements, and maintains a marketing mix. Essentially, a target audience is the group of people who will enjoy your product the most. They're the ones that will just love it. For the sake of this talk, target market and a target audience are the same, as they do have a difference, but for video games, they are basically the same. The person who buys the game is most likely going to be the one who plays it. So, how do you find who your target audience is? Visual novels are a medium of storytelling. People who like horror VNs probably won't like slice of life, slower pace things. Your target audience is also a working hypothesis. Don't be afraid to edit it. You will get it wrong on the first try, on the first few tries probably. You just have to talk to people about it and don't be afraid to edit it. Here are some criteria for how you can figure out like who is your target audience. You can look at the story genres. Does it have romance? If so, what types? Is it an ultime? Is it girls' love? What is the story? Is it horror, slice of life, action, things like that? What are the aesthetics? What's the art style of it? How does it look? How does it present itself? The gameplay mechanics. Does it have any extra features like a point and click? Is it just a kinetic visual novel? Is it an RPG VN? Things like that. How long is it? Does it take 10 minutes to play? Does it take an hour? Does it take 10 hours? Things like that. The platforms. Can you play it on browser, on your phone, on the PlayStation? Where can they play it? If there's any content warnings, that will change who the target audience is. And the overall polish, how well put it is together. So to give you guys an example, because I like examples for everything. I used 3 of my visual novels, and I went through each of the criteria. So we can go through them just a little bit. So the first one, Drops of Death. It is in the top left corner. It's an ultime/boys love visual novel, and it's a murder mystery. The one at the bottom, The Witch in the Forest, is girls' love, and it's slice of life. And the one on the right is Asterism, and it's a turn-based RPG, and it's got a little bit of boys love. The aesthetics for each. murder mystery is sort of got its own kind of aesthetics that go with the genre. So I also included that for Drops of Death. It's set in the wintertime, set around Christmas, and it's in college. The Witch in the Forest is set around Halloween, and it's got a moe art style. And Asterism is very heavily astronomy based. So most things about it have something to do with stars and constellations. And it's also set during night because, stars. And the main cast is in high school. The gameplay mechanics. Drops of Death is a murder mystery with multiple love interests and several endings and a randomized killer. Meanwhile, The Witch in the Forest is a kinetic novel. So it doesn't have any gameplay mechanics, but it's still important to note that because some people really like kinetic novels, meanwhile others only want visual novels that have choices in them. Asterism, and like I said, it's an RPG, so it has turn-based combat and one love interest. The length of each, Drops of Death I'm estimating will be around 5 hours per playthrough. Meanwhile, The Witch in the Forest is an hour, and Asterism has 2 play modes, which are around 4 to 8 hours each. The platforms, Drops of Death and Asterism will be available on both Steam and itch.io. Meanwhile, The Witch in the Forest is available on a lot of things. It's available on Kindle, on Google Play, on Steam, on browser. So there's a lot bigger target audience because it's more accessible to players. So, time for our next exercise. Tell me about your visual novel. Go through and just go through each of these criteria and write it down for your VN. The chibi here, the chibi example, is from Enamored Risks, my NaNoWriMo Ultimate from last year. And the target audience for that is, well, people who like ultimates. It's set during college, and so the people who enjoy girl exploit visual novels is the primary target audience for that. So screenshots, this little category thing, I'll post it as well. But just keep these in mind about your visual novel. Now you have an idea of who your target audience might be. And like I said, it's a working hypothesis, so you have to test it. And how do you test it? You research. A lot of marketing is about research. You have to go out and test things. Just start Googling stuff. When I have a question about something or when I'm trying to find something, I just Google the first thing that comes into mind. If I'm looking for discords for Ultimate people, guess what? I just Google Ultimate discords and they pop up. It's great. Just start looking for stuff. Start looking for keywords like that. Like girls love forums, girls love reviewers, boys love games, YouTubers, things like that. Whatever fits your visual novel. So 2 easy ways to find your audience, real quick. You need to get out of the building. This is a business mantra that is repeated a lot. If you've ever taken any kind of business class, you've probably heard it. Basically, get out of the building means that if you think you know something about your product or your audience or whatever you're making, you need to step away from your desk and go and talk to someone about it. A stranger, a family friend, somebody, typically a stranger, because they will not be partial to you. But you basically have to test your hypothesis. So you can do that online since, yeah, there's a pandemic. You can go talk to people through surveys and such. So one way is to pick one part of your visual novel, whether it be, it's an ultimate, it's a murder mystery, things like that, and run a survey for people who enjoy that. Ask them things about it. The second way is to find games that are similar to yours. We listed that criteria before, so use that criteria to find games that match some of them, not all of them, but some of them. And look where people are talking about them. What do they have to say about them? What do they think those games could have improved on? Who has played them before? Things like that. So real quickly, for surveys, Ask multiple choice questions. Ask them about their demographics, their age, their gender. Ask them what their favorite visual novel is. Like if this is for an ultimate, just ask them, hey, what's your favorite ultimate that you've ever played? Don't ask them a whole lot of long questions. Don't require every question either, because you want this to be as easy as possible. They are doing you a favor. And don't have too many questions. It's a lot better if you can incentivize players to finish it, but obviously that's a bit harder. Surveys are just a great way in general to get feedback as well, because you can also put them at the end of your demo and just say like, hey, how did you find this? What did you like about it? What do you want the full game to have? Things like that. And very quickly, if you have a website or a Steam or a Geo page, you can enable Google Analytics to find out demographics on who viewed it and how they found the page. And for similar games, like I said earlier, use the criteria that I listed out and find things that match some of those. Research those games and find out who has covered them. Don't just stick to one criteria. Like if I'm trying to find something that is similar to Drops of Death, my ultimate, I'm not going to just search up every single ultimate, because there's a lot of different types. And don't ignore the branding, because that's something we'll talk about a little later. DS covered it a bit, and we're going to cover it as well. I use sites like VNDB as well to help find out visual novels that are similar to mine, because they have different categories, different tags, things like that. So it makes filtering easy. You can also just ask friends. When I was doing research for Drops of Death, the whole thing about it is that the killer is randomized. So I've talked to some friends who played Japanese visual novels more than me. And I said, have you ever heard of anything like this? So I found out things that some murder mystery visual novels do. And I just found out more about what I can do for it. Don't be afraid to talk to people. And here's your third homework. What games are similar to yours? It's okay if there are games that are similar to yours. That's fine. It is your execution. That's the important thing. You want to find games that are similar to yours, because guess what? There are. You just can go through the criteria listed and find things like that. And here is a quick example from mine, from Drops of Death. My working hypothesis for the target audience is that it is 18 to 28-year-old women who play Ultimate games. They prefer games not set in high school, because it's set in college. So the characters are a bit older. And they want an emphasis on storytelling and drama, rather than just purely picking a love interest and dating and having the story be separated from there. And I listed a few similar games to that. And because this is a hypothesis, I can always add and change it as I find out more information and do more research. And now, branding and your audience, or how branding can help and or hurt your game. So what is branding? Well, according to entrepreneur.com, your brand tells people what they can expect from your products and services. Branding essentially is an easy way to communicate to players what your game is about. It's an easy way to tell players, hey, this is what my product is about. Branding includes a lot of things. It includes your social media posts. It includes the store page, how it's set up, the thumbnails, like the Steam capsule art, the itch.io thumbnails, things like that. Your screenshots, your logo, your GUI. Everything that is facing the player is part of your branding. It also includes the pitch wording. How do you talk about the visual novel? How do you describe it? Things like that. So let's quickly take a look at some examples of Steam capsules. Now, I grabbed these from Steam a few days ago, about a couple weeks ago. So here are some that are under the Ultimate tag on Steam. As you can see, two of them are indie visual novels, English visual novels. And both of them include a logo to the side and also a very prominent face. Meanwhile, the localized visual novels, such as Amnesia, Hakuoki, Dandelion, and Crashing Lonesome, feature the logo most prominent and don't feature any noticeable faces. Hakuoki, you can see faces, but they're not nearly as prominent as, say, Cinderella Phenomenon. And here this just means Japanese visual novel and Korean visual novel. Meanwhile, with Girls Love visual novels, most of them feature multiple girls, and most notably, they feature them being somewhat romantic or together, such as these. I actually messed up and listed these as Evian. We'll consider that as me being a little sleep deprived. Seabed and Kindred Spirits are not Evians, they are Japanese visual novels. Oops. But yes, you can see how the capsule art shows the girls' love aspects. And speaking of logos, these are some Japanese visual novel logos. So the ones on the left are bishojos. They are galgay visual novels, essentially boys, where you play as a guy and you date girls. As you can see, they are very pink, they're rainbowy, they're very cutesy. Meanwhile, on the right, we have fantasy, chuuni, action visual novels. They are all very dramatic, to say the least. You wouldn't really expect something like Fate Stay Night to be written in rainbowy Comic Sans. So the logo really also tells you more about what to expect. And last but not least, it is our last homework piece. Think about your visual novel and how you can tailor the branding for it for your audience. Think about your social media posts, how you set up the store pages, the screenshots and such, things like that. Your pitch wording. How are you going to convey what your visual novel is to the person who is reading your post or seeing the store page? So by now, you should have a list of what comprises your game, the criteria that you can use to figure out what your game is about, a list of similar games, a working hypothesis of who your audience is, a hypothesis that can change and should change and grow, and an idea for what your branding can consist of. One last thing about the branding. Really just go look through Steam. After this, go look through whatever tags are relevant for your visual novel and look at how they are presented on Steam, how other visual novels present them. That is another part of research and branding. So, if my presentation will load. Yeah, you can do it. There we go. Okay, so if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'm always on Twitter and in Dev Talk. So you can join Dev Talk, which is a big visual novel development server. I have my own marketing channel there where we just talk about marketing. I link articles and stuff. You can ask advice. You can just give your own opinions on it. It is not just a box for me to shout out marketing. It's where everybody talk. I'm on Twitter. My personal Twitter is Mikami Kasami. My studio Twitter is Crystal Gamework without the S because Twitter username limits. And my blog is mikamikasami.com where I will write about marketing from time to time. And that's about it.
Yay, the marketing.
Woo!
We should have a couple of minutes for Q&A. Let's see if I can find anything here. There is so much going on.
Yeah. One last thing, like target audiences is hard. I will not get it right on my first try, You won't get it right. That's fine. Just talk to people. Ask their opinions. People like giving their opinions.
People like giving their opinions on the internet? What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
They'll do it for free.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Miko?
Yeah, like Chap says, especially the wrong opinions.
Yes. A lot of people are typing. Discord is just. All right.
Give me your marketing questions. How soon is too soon / too late to start doing things? If you're releasing your game on Steam next month, it's too late. Really just think about when you are releasing and try to make it like, give yourself time. Just give yourself time. You don't want to start marketing 3 years out from a game, but you also don't want to start marketing 3 weeks out from a game. Go with when you're comfortable and have enough content to keep things alive.
Okay. Any more? Oh, someone's wondering, is there any way you should not talk to your market audience?
Well, don't, I feel like don't belittle them is something that's already common knowledge, but I will say one advice to not listen to is don't use memes. I've seen that in some indie game places where they're like, don't use memes, it clogs up your feed. But with anime games, people love memes. We love them. My best posts for Studio Alon are all memes that took me 5 minutes. People like to share them. So don't listen to that advice if your target audience is memes and they like memes. As for ways to, I don't know. It just really depends on who you're talking to. Well, wait. I do have an idea. Don't say that your visual novel is unlike anything anyone has ever seen. It's not like those other boring visual novels. I've seen that so often. Don't do that. It will piss off not only visual novel players, but also other devs. And then you will have nobody to talk to. Don't do that.
All right, let's see. Someone asked, do you use personas when you form your target audiences?
Where is that?
It's in the Zoom chat.
I'll answer that in a bit because I only have the Discord one up. Let's see. Yeah. Justy says content warnings versus spoilers, which is more important for marketing. Don't spoil your in-game stuff, but content warnings. When I say content warnings, I mean like 18 plus content. Keep things mostly safe for work unless your game is just about 18 plus content, in which case that'll probably be what you should lean into. How do you feel about sharing in progress stuff? Do it. People like to see whips. Make devlogs on it. A lot of my devlogs are just on how I made something, whether it's a computer, like whether it's a CG, whether it's a mechanic in the game. People like whips. You don't have to do it just finished polished content, especially for devlogs. Let's see. How do we find qualified marketing managers if we don't want to do it ourselves? You cry on Twitter. I don't really know because there's very few in the visual novel scene, which is sad. I always try to push people to be like, either learn it yourself or become a marketer. You can do it. You can do it. It's not that bad. Trust me. But yeah, probably go yell on Twitter. See, if my art style for my VN is inspired by an animation company, Cartoon Saloon, is there any way I can connect their audience to my game? Well, I would first find out where the audience is. Are they on Twitter? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Reddit? Where do people talk about this things from the animation company, and what do they like about them? Do they like the story, or do they like the art style? Because it sounds like you would be looking for people who are really fans of the art style if the art style is inspired by the animation company. So I would find people who are just really into that art style and where they talk about it.
Cool. All right. So I think this is roughly time. So we can always continue in chat. And I think Wolf is going to be talking about accessibility.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. It's all yours.
Okay. Let me make sure it works. Let me know when you can see it.
I can see it.
Lit. Okay.